Both New York football teams look to bounce back in week 2 after season-opening losses, and only one of the two teams were successful on Sunday. So let's talk about it with a host from WFAN. She's also a football enthusiast. Her name is Danielle McCartan. She joins me now. Danielle, how was your football Sunday?
It was a Sunday fun day. We ended up going to some Giants watch party in Clifton, so that was pretty fun.
Okay.
But so a lot of the TVs in the bar had on the Giants. There were like maybe 10 TVs. 9 of them had the Giants game on, but I positioned myself where I could see both the Jets and the Giants. So hopefully I'm okay today.
Well done by you, being efficient, keeping your eye on both New York football teams, as you should be doing. I was doing the same thing. So a busy football watching day for all of us in New York sports media. And Danielle, let's start with the Giants, who fell on the road to the Commanders 21-18 on Sunday. Now, the bright spot in this game was Malik Nabers. He caught his first career touchdown. However, he likely had the biggest negative play of the game offensively for the G-men with a big drop in the fourth quarter. What did you make of the rookie wideout's performance here in week 2?
Unfortunately, for Malik Nabers, it doesn't matter what he did the rest of the game. This is New York, and it's what have you done for me lately? And in a very winnable game for the New York Giants, on a 4th and 4 with 2 minutes and 6 seconds to go in the game, Daniel Jones put it right in his hands at the 10-yard line, and Malik Nabers just dropped it. So for me, it doesn't matter what he did throughout the whole rest of the game. It's what have you done for me lately? And the most lately thing he's done was drop a pass that would have put the Giants in position in the driver's seat to go ahead and probably win this very winnable game. And I was at that establishment, and I turned to my friend and I said, listen, this defense can't stop anything. Watch this. Washington's going to get the ball back, going to go down the field and win this game by a field goal. And guess what? Call me Nostradamus, okay? But I will say, I mean, I'm glad Nabers has been Daniel Jones's first read pretty much every single time. I'm glad he's embraced that role. It's just, I mean, you can't drop that ball in that spot, unfortunately for him. And that's going to be the takeaway, despite what he did. Even if he had 1,000 yards in the game, that is going to be the takeaway from him, unfortunately, here in week 2.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is the way it is in a big spot. He did not come up big at all. Now, last week when you and I talked, we talked about Daniel Jones. He took a ton of heat from the fan base after his week 1 performance, which we will agree was not good at all. How do you assess the performance of Jones and the offense overall in week 2? Are you encouraged about what you saw against Washington?
Yeah, I mean, we talked last night on the radio. You were there. You know, if this was going to be a building block game for the Giants offense and defense, really. But, I mean, Washington just happened to show up at the right time on their schedule. They own Washington. I don't want to talk about moral victories, of course, but definitely a performance to build upon for Daniel Jones, as expected, or as I expected. It kind of was a get-right game for him. I mean, yards per pass was up from last week, 2 yards, actually, per pass, from, different than last week. Took just 1 sack instead of the 5 he suffered last week. And when you looked at the leaderboard of sacks suffered or sacks taken, Daniel Jones was number 2, only to Deshaun Watson. So, and it was only by 1 sack. So to just take 1 this week, I think that goes hand in hand with the 0 interceptions that he threw today, with the 2 touchdown passes that he threw today, with the almost 60% passing completion today. So listen, I understand it's Washington. I understand their secondary was absolutely decimated, but you can only play who's on your schedule, right? And who is on the field at any given moment. So I think Daniel Jones did I don't want to say great, but I think he did a really good job today to build upon. And I think next week you have to improve upon the week before. So I'm looking forward to see what he can do against Cleveland in this situation.
I'm glad to see that you caught yourself there, because I saw you almost say great. And I was about to say, hey, Danielle, are you back on the Daniel Jones bandwagon? Not saying that you were actually really there in the first place, but I was just wondering if you were going to be leading the charge of the Giants fans being back on the Daniel Jones bandwagon. But you're saying wait and see.
I'm a big fan of Daniel Jones. I am not apologetic about it. I think the guy has all the skills. It's just a matter of getting back into the saddle, I think, and getting the rhythm down right, the timing down right, taking the hits, and feeling confident. I mean, he's ahead of schedule. No, everybody seems to forget that this guy is ahead of schedule for the season-ending injury that he suffered. So I'm willing to give him a couple more days here, give him a little bit longer of a leash than just one and done like a lot of these Giants fans.
Yeah, you know how that goes. Again, like you said earlier, it's about what have you done for me lately. Well, lately, Jones looked a lot better than he did in week
Yeah.
one. Let's move over to the Jets, Danielle, because running back Braylon Allen, 2 touchdowns in the Jets' 24-17 victory over the Titans in Tennessee. The second touchdown put the Jets up for good with 4:31 left in the game. What can Allen bring to this Jets offense going forward after this big day that he had here on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, I had him as an anytime touchdown scorer. I wish I would have hit two-time touchdown scorer, but Braylon Allen, I mean, he's a guy that kind of sort of snuck out of nowhere if you weren't paying attention. And this is a guy that can really diversify the offense. I mean, you know about the Garrett Wilsons, and you know about, the Breece Halls, and this is a guy that can just, take the pressure away from them. Maybe he's going to, people are going to load up in the box against Breece Hall, and then boom, they kick it out to Braylon Allen. So I'm happy to see him kind of come on his, up on his own here. And I just think that he can diversify this Jets offense in a way that they can kind of, when you want to pick a anytime touchdown scorer for the Chiefs, I mean, there are so many different guys to pick from in any given game, which is obviously a problem for opposing defenses. So I'm really interested and intrigued to see how Braylon Allen will continue to improve, right, and to get better, and to see how more deadly he can be to this Jets offense so that opposing defenses are like, have to pause and then start to maybe game plan for him as well. So you got Garrett Wilson, you got Breece Hall for sure, Lazard maybe possibly. I'm not totally sold on him, but hey, Braylon Allen 2 touchdowns today. It's definitely going to be on the radar of the New England Patriots, who come to town on Thursday night.
Yeah, he will definitely be on the scouting report. Had a touchdown catching the ball, also one running the ball that put the Jets ahead for good, like I mentioned. The gangrene defense, though, Danielle, much maligned after their performance against the Niners, where they allowed 174 rushing yards. What did you make of the Jets' defensive performance against Will Levis and Tennessee on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, look, they still allowed 130 overall rushing yards to the Tennessee Titans, which the key to this game, as we talked about last night on the Fan, the key to this game was going to be, can the New York Jets stop the run enough so that they can, secure a victory? And 130 overall rushing yards, not what you want to see. 1 rushing touchdown, not what you want to see. But they played well enough, right? And that's the name of the game here. And so it was better. It wasn't great, but it was better. And of course, the biggest story, Jermaine Johnson going down for the season. I mean, that is a huge blow to this. We talked about last night, this Jets defensive front, who is supposed to be real ferocious. I mean, now we talked also last night, if last week's performance against the 49ers didn't incentivize Joe Douglas to pick up the phone and call Hassan Reddick, now the season-ending injury to Jermaine Johnson, don't you think he'd be picking up his phone and dialing the guy's phone number just to have a conversation at this point? Because it's kind of in dire straits here for the New York Jets. And, a defense that was so hyped up at the beginning of the season is showing you week in and week out that it's not exactly what it was all hyped up to be. And the Jets need Hassan Reddick. So, Joe Douglas, if you happen to see this clip, pick up the phone and give him a call. It's time.
Yeah, something tells me Joe Douglas might have been calling Hassan Reddick's agent already after this game. At least we feel like he should be. But seems like Hassan Reddick has got himself just a little bit of leverage here, Danielle. Okay, last thing for me, Danielle. Through 2 weeks of football, and I usually like to do this when we have these talks about the Jets and Giants, talking about what is the state of New York football. So when you look at this through 2 weeks, what's the state of New York football, and how are you feeling about the Giants and the Jets moving forward? Jets 1-1, Giants 0-2. How are you feeling about both teams?
I mean, we'll take the Jets first. For me, it's the Jermaine Johnson thing is just really, really big for me. Look, if they can get Hassan Reddick in the building and suited up in green, I mean, it's going to make it a lot better for me. But for right now, having no contact with him through this point in time, Sunday, September 15th at 6:42 p.m. that we know about, that's really big for me. I feel cautiously optimistic about the Jets, that Aaron Rodgers will be able to overcome and that offense will be able to overcome. But, at 1-1, I really thought the 49ers were a winnable game for the Jets. Turns out that it wasn't. You think they can beat the Patriots at home opener Thursday night. So you think they're going to start the season 2-0. But I don't know. My answer for the Jets is kind of, I don't know. And for the Giants, I think I'm at least disappointed through this. I guess I had higher hopes than higher hopes and expectations for this Giants team. I thought the Vikings were a winnable game. I thought today's game was a winnable game. turns out both weren't, and the schedule only gets tougher from here on out. So I look up and down that schedule, and I'm not sure how many more W's or how many W's I see on the schedule for the Giants moving forward. So I'd say so about the Jets and kind of down on the Giants, even though today was an improvement upon last week. But I think anything would have been an improvement upon last week, to be honest with you. So on the Jets, kind of one of these on the Giants, I think, so far this season.
All right, there you go. You have it from Danielle McCartan, the state of New York football, as Danielle mentioned. Next up for the Jets, Thursday night matchup, home opener against the Patriots. The Giants will be in Cleveland next week to take on the Browns. That is Danielle McCartan. Check her out on WFAN, doing a great job talking about everything, including the state of New York football. Danielle, always a pleasure to talk to you. I will see you soon, my friend. Thank you.
Yeah, anytime, Dex. Thanks. Appreciate it.